You are listening to the audio portion of the QB Power Hour webinar series, your bi-weekly dose of insights and learning for accounting professionals with co-host Dan DeLong and Sharon Fuller. We're here to explore the latest in the industry, QuickBooks, and integrations that matter to you. For more details on the series, visit qbpowerhour.com.
Welcome, everyone, to another QB Power Hour. Today, we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of Books Review versus Books Close, the highly anticipated Books Close feature inside of Intuit Accountant Suite that we had talked about a month ago or so. And it's coming up close to the end of its beta. So we want to just talk about, is that cost, is the juice worth the squeeze when it comes to Books Close and the cost? So we know who we are. If you want to connect with us,
we do.
You can scan the QR codes. I think I did put in the chat the handouts for today, so you should be able to download them there. So a little bit about the QB Power Hour webinar update. We are, if you haven't noticed, we have switched from a recurring series where you only had to register once to individual registration. So we appreciate everyone who is joining us here live today that got the memo on that. We're trying to, and right on cue, as soon as we started doing this and moving everything as our source of truth to our website, qbpowerhour.com, the website goes down. That's kind of par for the course. Just when you plan something to go to go wrong, it certainly happens. But the why we're doing this is it'll allow you to be able to add them to your calendar based on the topic that we're scheduling. So you'll be able to register for the ones that you want. The website is currently updated, or at least it's live. We are still working on getting access to make updates to the site, but at least it's there. So you should be able to click on that link that's in the slide here to go and see what's upcoming and register for the ones that you want. And we are doing a new quarterly-ish series, and we're putting them into different categories. So the open tab we had last week, that's all about Intuit news and product updates. Take it to the limit, where we're talking about different apps and technology that augments QuickBooks. Beyond bookkeeping is where we're going to be focusing on advisory and other high-value services. Niche nuances is where we're going to have different industry types and the different types of industries needs for those types of businesses. If you want to, which kind of goes in hand with the beyond bookkeeping, because when you do specialize in an industry, that by default raises your standard of pricing that you can command in that area. Is the Grass Greener is another series where we'll be talking about different alternatives to QuickBooks and app showdowns, where we pit one app against the other. We're trying to have, the whole idea there is that we'll have like power users of those apps to talk about the pros and cons of those various apps. So appreciate you joining us on this journey of transformation of the QB Power Hour series. Today, we're going to be talking about our Intuit news and updates.
Legit. Hey guys, go ahead and message me. Don't raise your hand. We are having technical difficulties in the attendees right now. Just message me. Throw me a Q&A. I'll handle you. I see your hands popping up, but I can't get to everybody. And I am paying attention. Oh, see? Now they're doing it on purpose. Now they're doing it on purpose.
As long as it's all of the fingers on the hand and not just one of them.
I can't control that. Dan, I can't control that.
All
But
right.
I'm listening to you, Dan. Keep going. You know me.
All right. So in our Intuit News and Updates segment, which is something that we do on every QB Power Hour, we'll be talking about the 2023 service discontinuation, which typically leads to when is all of desktop service being discontinued. We'll talk a little bit about that. But we really want to focus on books review versus books close, like what they are and how they are accessed, the general differences, and then we'll go in a side-by-side comparison where we'll break down the different categories or sections of these tools and really just put them side by side to the other, one against the other. Let's launch the first poll question, Sharon.
I'm ready for that. There we go.
So the simple question, do you use the books review? Because that was, I think, part of the challenge of it not being used is you didn't know where it was.
It
So
moved, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
It moved.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I use it, Dan. I use it, and I actually really like it. I've used other software, Double. we had Client Hub, but me personally, I like it a little bit different because I can actually confirm, okay, reconcile. I really like it. And then it moved, and I went to go do my own clothes or something a month or so ago, and I was going nuts. I'm like, how will I know? So I actually used it and like it. Here, everybody. I get told that I don't
Wow.
say anything good, but I do. I actually really liked it because it made sense to have it right there. At least that here's my, it just made sense.
Yeah. And it has some different tools, like you could change it from a cleanup to setup and going and seeing that extra tab and some unique tools that were in there. We'll talk about those. But that was one of those things that if you didn't know where it was, you couldn't find it. It's kind of like that client overview screen where you can see all the settings and the apps and things that they have connected inside of QuickBooks, but really didn't get, if you didn't know where you were going, especially since the user interface changed everything, it was a challenge to do that. But it looks like, go ahead and we'll end the poll. Most folks have.
All right, there you go.
It looks like most people know. That was the answer.
Wow.
So 62%.
That why? Throw in your chat. Why do you not use it? Do you not know it's there? For the ones that don't, do you not know it's there? You use something else? I'd really communicate with us in the chat.
It's probably very similar to what you were saying, is like you maybe use Client Hub or Double or some other tool that filled the gap, because that's what we tend to see with Intuit features that are introduced inside of IAS, QBOA, QuickBooks Online. It is the shallow end of the pool when it comes to the scope of what it can do, and then you end up finding something that you need more. Is that what was your experience with it?
Yeah, I don't use it as my task management, right? It's in addition to, it's like my task management system, which when I had my firm was Client Hub, right? And you check things off. But something about when I'm in there, and even now I use Motion, right? Dan and I are Motion users. But when I'm in there, I like to see it all done. I like to make sure I didn't miss anything, because you don't always have everything set up correctly in your task, or something could have been added, right? Even in Double, you have to re-add it. In Client Hub, you have to re-add it. So something could have been added to your balance sheet. Something could be there. And I like in the books review that I can look and I'm like, okay, I got everything, because I'm that weirdo that reconciles in QuickBooks. I hit the reconcile button to everything just because I know it scales. It's quick. I know I did it. I don't have to worry about whether, this used to tie. I can actually, there's a history there. So I love it. I think I love it. I'm glad that it's not gone. I haven't been able to find it. So I'm actually, Dan, I was looking for it the other day and I thought, I don't need to. Dan's going to show me how next Tuesday. So here we are. I am not only a panelist or a co-host, I am also a client.
All right. Let's talk about our Intuit news and updates. 2023 is on the chopping block this year for service discontinuation. So let's talk a little bit. This is a conversation that we have every year because it tends to lead to other things, right? But in general, Intuit has a service discontinuation policy of live support for the current QuickBooks Desktop year -2. So this is all dealing with service discontinuation with desktop products. So typically it's May 31st. So May 31st of 2026.
That's my birthday, everybody. Mark it down.
Wow.
I like Ciroc vodka and sour gummy candy. May 31st. I will be 32. I'm also a compulsive liar.
Exactly. So on Sharon's birthday,
yes,
they commemorate Sharon's birthday by turning off connected service.
They're also just going to shut down for the day and morning of me being bored.
Exactly. The connected, it's service discontinuation. So the big thing to keep in mind is that the program will still open. It's not discontinuing the program itself. And we're talking specifically QuickBooks years versions 2023. So this could be Pro or Premier if you're still on those active subscriptions. And this is the challenge sometimes is that people on these subscriptions, it is a hardship sometimes to update their software, right? Because they have to download the software, they have to update it on all workstations, and then update the data, right? So a lot of times people don't get around to it, and maybe they're sitting on 2023 without having updated to the latest version, which is staying at 2024. So the connected services will cease to function after May 31st. So that includes online banking. So even if you're using the Web Connect, where you're downloading the Web Connect file, it still has to go online to
And for
validate.
everybody that's asking, this is desktop only and only if you're in 2023 or prior. Okay.
Yep.
This is not if you're in 24, 20, I'm just answering what is being asked. This is only desktop, and this is only if you're in version 2023. You've already been cut off prior, but you're okay if you're in 24 or 25 and you sold a kidney on the black market to pay for your subscription. You're okay.
So inside the handouts, there's a link there to the specific desktop 2023 service discontinuation policy article, which talks about these very same things, right? Sorry if it wasn't clear on the slide.
So everybody got excited calendaring my birthday, so they just I got them sidetracked, and I apologize. Right. And then that link, they were so excited about that link.
And to DB, who just put in there, didn't know there was a 2025 version. There is not a 2025 version.
See, this is why I'm not teaching you guys.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Intuit made the decision at some point that they will not create New Year's versions of QuickBooks Desktop. So this is all part of the conspiracy.
Wait. So what's their last version? Was 2025?
The 2024 was their last year's version.
And they haven't done a new one yet. And the conspiracy is they're not going to do a new one, and they're going to be is that what you're saying?
So
again, asking as a client, Dan, because I have the opportunity to not talk in chat, and I could just go straight at you because I don't pay attention to desktop. I don't. So I know nothing when it comes to desktop unless we're talking 2015 prior. It's been that long.
Yeah. So traditionally, they would come out with a New Year's version of QuickBooks Desktop yearly, and they would call it that year. So 2024 was the last year's version that they did that. Now, they are still trickling quarterly updates into QuickBooks 2024 as far as features that they might be doing. It's just not.
Wow.
It's not a one-stop. You got to download a new version. But all of that is feeding into this policy against
Yep.
the latest version, because
Do
now
you know, Dan?
as we
I'm
speculate,
sorry.
when is QuickBooks Desktop going to be completely discontinued? Following along with this policy, that could put us at Sharon's birthday, 2027,
When I
for
will be 33.
for 33, of course.
I will.
That would put us at 2027 for the 2024 products, right? Now, a lot can happen between now and then, right?
Like we can riot. We can storm the castle, you guys. If we collectively all got together, went to Intuit Connect, didn't buy a ticket, but we all go, the security ARIA can't stop us. The CEO is going to be there, and I think 3,000 of us could make a difference. I will get this going if I have anybody that can help go fund my lawyer bills that will come from going after Intuit. I don't see anybody offering.
So,
I don't use desktop. I've been saying this for
They-
years, though, Dan, right? For 2
Yeah.
years, I've been saying they're going to
No,
get rid of
this
it.
is-
Everyone's like, no,
right, and this
they
is
won't.
all speculation, right? Because until
Yes.
something is made as an announcement, and we've had Marjorie on last year, right? She's very heavily desktop centric in her firm. So QuickBooks Enterprise is the desktop flagship product. You can still actively purchase that. And because QuickBooks Desktop is an annual subscription, right? It would be really hard if somebody purchased a new enterprise subscription on May 30th, 2027, and then they announced a discontinuation one day later. I'm sure there's going to be a grace period of some sort. And again, I've not been told anything, and there's nothing been externally announced. I am just interpreting the past to predict the future.
Yeah.
Based off of their behaviors and policies in the past.
This makes sense. Why would you? I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense to me, right? Like, why would you have? It's double support for them, and they're condensing all, and plus AI and everything. I know it sucks. Everybody wants desktop, but I think we're just moving away from that as a society. But Dan, you keep saying speculation and conspiracy, but I want to just point out that something we've learned in the US as a whole over the past month is that all the conspiracy theories are true. Sorry, had to go there. You go ahead.
So that's a lot to take in. But right now, what it basically, I mean, with regards to 2023, the program will continue to open if they don't have any connected online services that require an internet connection. Then it will still continue to open. They can still use 2023 indefinitely. They just won't have
support it.
Updates. They won't make updates to the software to download. So security could potentially be a problem as years go on with those types of things.
And you can't transfer the file. I know plenty of people that are using a really old file, but you can't transfer it. You can't move it. You can't do anything with it. It's very manual, which is fine for some people. Right. Anyhow, I'm excited, Dan. Show me this because then I'll close my books. I got to close the AFWA books today. So this is, I'm happy.
So now we're going to be doing a comparison of books review versus books close. And this is different than close the books, which is a preference, right? So just putting in that closing date, that's a task that's part of either of these two processes, but we'll talk about these comparisons. So books close is, as Intuit has talked about it in the No webinars, has labeled it as an advanced books review. So the main benefit is you're working on closing activities without leaving Intuit Accountant Suite, IAS.
Yeah.
So that is the savings, right? Is that you could basically have one place to do these things without jumping into each individual client. So you can have multiple clients listed there. You'll have a dashboard there for all of your clients, and you can assign those you can assign clients to team members or by task, right? By groups of tasks. So you could have a preparer, you could have a reviewer, and then final stamp of approval. And you can assign people to those roles, and those roles then can be assigned those tasks. And then those people can then complete those tasks. And then you'll be able to see somebody who's overseeing this whole process will be able then to see this dashboard of how are things going, right? Because in QuickBooks Online, when you have, depending on the version that your clients are using, the financial summary that AI is going to create for those clients is going to be done on the 5th of the month, right? So you might want to make sure that some of these tasks are done before the 5th of the month. So that is more of a useful financial review to be able to look at. Now, Intuit has created a really nice books closed playbook. I put a link for it in the handouts here. It has, I'm going to click on it. It has all sorts of videos. It is a living document. Please do not, try to make changes to it, because of course they're modifying it as we speak. But it has screenshots and.
Whose is this? Is this yours?
This is provided by Intuit. Intuit has made this available in their. I don't know who this person is in the videos, but whoever they've contracted this this out with, they are very thorough in these little videos that they've made. So that's a great resource if you're evaluating the books closed feature. It's divided into sections. So there is a pre-close, an account reconciliation, transaction review, payee or entity review, additional items, and then sending the financials. And some of these you'll be able to add your own custom tasks to. And so when you assign them to a client, then all of those tasks and those settings will go, it'll create its own task template. Right. Now, books review is also divided into sections, but there are two options. There is a cleanup drop down. So when you're in books review inside of the client, it adds a setup area. And then the monthly drop down just takes that setup tab out of the equation since you don't need it. But nothing changes with regards to what in the transaction review, account reconciliation, final review, or wrap up. What I've done, and then as I was checking this out and researching this, I logged into a client that I onboarded for books closed to compare apples and apples with books review. And when I did that, there was this prompt or ad or this message about updating the books review to the new experience, which basically takes the tasks in books closed and puts them in books review. So it makes it even more complicated because Marnie on Facebook, she was talking about the fear is that when there's this new shiny feature called books closed, what are they going to do with books review? Are they going to encourage people to use books closed by taking things away from books review, which is a concern, right? And she had noticed something. I couldn't get it to duplicate, but I thought this was very peculiar because this is actually the opposite. You can add more features to books review by upgrading the books review experience. Now, I couldn't get this message to come up more than once, and I couldn't do it in multiple clients. So I'm wondering, and I really need to double check and try to really get to the root cause of doing this, or what I need to do to have it trigger this message. is I'm wondering if I already brought somebody on to books close, if that is the triggering event that allows you to add this new experience to books review, copying the books close features into books review because they've already been onboarded as a books close client. But I couldn't get it to do it in a client that was not already on books close. But there's more detail. You can have the anomaly detection, and as we go through the side-by-side comparison, you can see how that kind of plays out.
Mm-hmm.
So accessing the tool, where did it go? Books Review
Yes.
is available under, one thing is it's available under, it's always going to be available under all apps, accounting, and then Books Review, right? So regardless
See,
of
do you
what,
love that, Dan? To me, I feel like the all apps should be third party. Don't you guys? To me, apps, I'm thinking third party. To me, all those other things are built in. So I never go to all apps. So
Yeah.
I'm always looking at like my menu or bookmarks or something. And now I know we're relearning. What they did is they've had this lingo for decades, right? And now they're like, by the way, we're changing all the lingo on you, and I think that's the hardest part is the acronyms and the lingo that we know is going away, and then they move things, kind of keeping us on our toes a little bit. But I think that's been the hardest part is tracking things down. So I'm glad we have you here tracking it down because I don't do it anymore. I seriously don't do any. I wait. Or I slack you. Dan has all the answers, everybody.
or I will at least try to find out the answer, what that is, if I don't know what it is.
Yes.
But a consistent experience will be all apps, accounting, and Books Review to get into that section. As you mentioned, you can customize the My Menu and add as your own shortcut. That is something
point. You can customize the way Apple lets you customize.
Yes. Yeah.
You can customize within this pretty little square, but beyond that, no. It's not an Android customization over here. Sorry. And then Dan says, all right, he wants me to shut up. Go ahead.
I'll just mute you.
I know. Zing. It's happened before.
The downside of adding it to My Menu is you would have to do that to all of your clients, right? So you would have to go in and add that as a bookmark and so on and so forth. And again, I've seen a different experience in the My Menu. Sometimes I know I have not created bookmarks or shortcuts in a client, and all of a sudden some bookmarks show up that were in a different client. Now, I may have forgotten that I set them up.
If Intuit's on here listening stealthily, trying to get free information, what us accountants really want, you know how you can make us really happy right now? Global changes. Let me make a global report. Let me make a global setting of the apps I want, and then I can make adjustments per client. That is what we need. That saves us time because the AI, all this stuff is great. They're great tools. But what is time consuming for us is if you have 100 clients and you have to go into every frigging client. I have a report template. I don't have to do this crap anymore. But I had this report template that every time a new client came on in my onboarding, I would have to go in and reset up this template. I'm like, this is stupid. It's set up across every single client. So give us global. We'll do that when we storm the Capitol, but I don't know if I want to wait until October. I still need this stuff. I'm a treasurer of things. I still do some CFO work. So I still care. I just care differently.
Yeah. And there's, just like the client, chart of accounts templates. So those can be,
oh my God.
That functionality
when you're uploading,
can be tied to
those are some, Dan, they need to be paying us. Those are some things that would be great. It's more like, hey, car dealership, I'm here to get my air conditioning fixed. They're like, we fixed this right tire for you. I'm like, I live in Vegas. You're fixing shit sorry. You're fixing things I don't need fixed. Fix the things I need. Anyhow, global is what we need. Global.
Now, to get the books closed when you're in IAS, right? You won't see this when you're in a client. You have to be in your practice. There will be a big old button, a big old app sitting there called Books Close, and the only option you have in there is going into the overview. So that's the access point for both places. Where is my cursor? There we go. All right, so a general side-by-side comparison. I've created a blog article on School of Bookkeeping. You can click on it from here. It will have this embedded into the blog article as well. Don't worry, it will always be there, or at least it will be there until my website goes in. But there's side-by-side comparison, right? And I added an additional column for the new experience so that you have that in there. So if you do have the option to upgrade to the new experience, you can see that's the advantage of doing that, right? So included with, yes, it's included, but in Books Close, it can be added on Core or Accelerate in Intuit Accountant Suite. And then, so whether there's settings for the close process. Books Review does not have these settings. In Books Close, there are some settings. So you can change the status label, whatever it is. There's 3 that you can choose your own. So if you don't like to do or impending, or you can call it whatever it is that makes more sense to you. You can create custom or templates for clients that you cannot do in Books Review, either experience. Customizable statuses, adding additional tasks, all of them have some form of that. Assigning tasks to teammates, because it's you going into the Books Review process, you can't change who they should be assigned to, right? So it's all you, right? Centralized task management, that's really what Books Close is getting into, right? A firm where you have more than one person doing different things for the same client. This is where Books Close is venturing into that area. Multi-entity management, only an option for Books Close. Accessing client requests within the that should be tool. You can change my word wrap on my spreadsheet. This is actually a yes for all. Now that I'm looking at my side-by-side comparison, especially in the new experience, you'll be able to see requests. So when you send your client a message clarifying, I need some clarification on the transaction, you'll see those requests right within the tool. Progress tracking is for all of them, whether there's a cost. There's no cost inside of Books Review, either experience, but there is a cost for Books Close, and that is $8 per onboarded client, up to $50, and then it goes to $6. And then you can toggle monthly review and cleanup. That's a function only of Books Review. All right, so we're going to take it by section. Right, so the cleanup and pre-close comparison. It's exclusive. The cleanup is exclusive to Books Review, so you only have that option inside of Books Review. And there are adjustment tools to get started. Right, so when you're onboarding a client and you just want to choose that moment in time, maybe tie it to a tax return or some moment in time, another trial balance from a different platform, what have you, you can do some adjusting in the cleanup setting section of the Books Review. And pre-close is just called before you begin. So it's not a section that is expandable and added. It's just an area called before you begin. And these are customizable in Books Close. They are customizable tasks that really should be completed prior to starting the Books closing the books process, right? So very simple things like make sure you've accepted all of the bank fee transactions or things of that nature, right?
things that you don't really have in like double. So I think the difference is, yeah, like you're saying, books close versus books review. I like books review. I don't need books close. That's what my project management tool is, but they're trying Intuit, being a software, is trying to create this all in one, which makes sense. And it makes sense for some people. But yeah, I like the books review.
Yeah. And one other thing too.
Plus, books review will be free.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've realized over the course of doing these comparisons is really, Sharon, you're not the target customer for books close, right? Because you've already found a workable solution within the books review and outside, whether it's Double or Client Hub or some other practice management software. I saw other ones, ClickUp and those types of things in the chat. So all of you people who are here, maybe not are the target of the initial book close, right? But somebody who's just getting into an accountant suite for the first time, they don't know any different than these tools that are already there, unless they have a Sharon in their corner telling them, oh, you need Double if you've got a mentor in the space, giving you suggestions and recommendations on software to use. But somebody just starting out their own bookkeeping practice, they're going to see what the capabilities of the software that they're currently using, and they'll stumble upon books close faster than trying to find a Double, Client Hub, or Keeper Financial Sense software.
It's already in one software, and they don't know about the others, but they're like, hey, here it is. I can do it all. And then as they grow, they're like, okay, I need more. Again, it makes sense. It makes sense to be in the same place. But those of us who have been doing this for a long time know what our needs are. And we also got accustomed to what we like and how we like to do it, which is why there are 2,700 project management tools, because each of us like to see things in different ways. So it's an option.
Now, in here, there's a lot of no's in the books close, right? Because it is something exclusive to clean up, is exclusive inside of books review. So the opening balance adjustments is just not a function of the books close, and nor, I think, would you want to have an opening balance adjustment as part of your books close process, because that is a setup or cleanup type of function anyway. But if you need it, you can jump over into the client, switch over to cleanup, and there you go. You can make it. Now, disconnected bank feeds, it says no, but here's a caveat to that, because it is available as a dashboard widget in Intuit Accountant Suite, just on the home screen, right? So you can see all of your clients and if their bank feed is disconnected, you can see that. And then accounts without activities for 90 or plus days is not an option in books close. All right. This is a big win for books close, is the reconciliation function. So books review, the reconciliation, and I think this is part of what Marnie was talking about, is that some of these columns that were there in books review aren't there in after
this is
after
the part
books
I liked.
close.
I think this is why I was telling you about that you could customize what's there. This is the good part. But
in books review, your reconciliation, you will have the name of the account, the number of transactions that are unreconciled, the last reconciliation date, and access to statements only if fetching is supported. So you can click the statement button. It's not going to show any statement if the bank that they're using is some regional credit union that doesn't support statement fetching. But if those statements are already been downloaded, they will be accessible there. By clicking, so one thing that was noticeably missing here is the ability to go reconcile bank transactions. So this is more of an alert than actually a transaction or doing work, right? So in books close reconciliation, more information. You see the ending balance, you see the number of transactions unreconciled. Again, you have access to the statement, But within the tool itself, you can reconcile directly into an accountant suite. So you're not actually going into your client, because the reconciliation window just shows up inside the Books Closed tool as if you went into the customer's subscription and went to the gear and reconcile, or however you navigate to the reconciliation screen, right? So you can also go into the client's file if you need to, but if you're going down the list like Sharon and reconciling everything, this makes a lot more sense because you're able to do that reconciliation inside the Books Closed tool without going into the client's file. So anything that would normally be visible when you go to the gear and reconcile is going to be available inside the Books Closed tool in Intuit Accountant Suite without you needing to go into the company files. That's a big time saver, having to switch companies, wait for it to show up, go into the reconciliation screen, wait for that to show up, and then start reconciling. You can just reconcile right within the tool. So a win there. All right. So just a side-by-side comparison. Big thing here, flagging unreconciled transactions. It has a no here for Books Closed because there wasn't a way for it to show what transactions weren't reconciled. But again, they will show in the transaction review, right? So you'll be able to see some of those things. So you won't necessarily see them right within the reconciliation module, but you can see them elsewhere, right? So the big win for Books Closed is being able to reconcile within the tool. Did think it was weird that in Books Review you don't see the ending balance, which is kind of that's a nice thing to know when you're
open a second tab of your balance sheet and look there, honey.
Whoops! And then
all right.
I didn't mean to click.
I'll wait.
I was
ready
trying
for
to
you.
highlight. Okay, but you know what's coming now.
I do.
Uncleared transaction. You can see uncleared transactions, but only greater than 90 days in Books Review. And in Transaction Review, you will see those in Books Closed, but not as part of the reconciliation module. You'll all see the client requests. This create journal entry for uncleared transactions. I thought it was just a weird option when you're trying to do that, because all it does is open up a journal entry screen that's blank. So there's not like a pre-fill or anything that you're trying to do when you're trying to acknowledge or do something for those uncleared transactions. And then inside of the Books Review, you can add additional to-do things, so tasks, things like that. The only thing you can do in the reconciliation in Books Closed is reconcile the account and choose what account you want to reconcile. All right. Polling question. Have you ever tried the Books Closed while it's in beta? So while you're answering that, let's continue on because we're almost at the end. All right. So the side-by-side transaction review. Now, I've done a side-by-side comparison of this with Alicia Katz-Pollock for the unofficial QuickBooks Accountant podcast. So you can access that as well. And we did this as a workshop on Workshop Wednesdays as well. But really, you can see the old Books Review was severely lacking. And when you do add the new experience, it essentially copies all of the Books Closed functions within the Books Review option. So if you are missing something and you do have the opportunity to add the new experience inside of Books Review and you don't want to pay for the Books Closed, you can get those there. But again, I'm still unclear on the triggering event to make that new experience available inside of Books Review. And we'll talk about here. So in the new experience or in books close, you have the ability to change options in transaction review so you can customize what you want to see, right? So you can edit exclusions, right? So you can change the transaction type or the payee. So if you don't need to see certain transactions in that whatever category that happens to be, you can specify those things to exclude. You can also edit inclusions. So if you want to see specific accounts, you can add those accounts in the transaction review. And you'll also be able to customize what you see on the screen by sort, number of rows, and the columns to display. And if it's applicable, you can edit the amount threshold, right? So there's one in there that says only show me transactions that's over $2,500. If you want to change that to $500, you can. Right? So you have that option to be able to do that. Now, the options that are available inside of transaction review, as far as what you can do with those transactions, those are going to depend on the action that you're actually looking at, right? Individual transactions, you will be able to add a payee, send a request, or add an attachment to that transaction right within there. And then as far as batch transaction options, normally just dismissing the alert. So once you've reviewed it, bulk editing, you typically can do voiding or deleting or send a request to the clients. Now, there's no comparison in payee review because it doesn't exist in review. And so we want to talk a little bit about what it is available.
Wow. So their books close essentially is double. I told Keeper back in the day came up, I said, Intuit needs to just buy your software because you guys have everything here. And Intuit's, we'll take all your ideas and do this. But anyhow, it really is a lot of the same. The books close. The review to me is just completely different.
And then, so for the books closed payee review, you have new customers and vendors where you can confirm transactions. And what I mean by that is just confirm that there are transactions for that payee, whether it's a vendor or customer, because then at that point, if there are no transactions for a new vendor, then you may just want to inactivate them, and you can do that in the payee review. The W-9 1099 management, which would have been a wonderful thing to show up a couple months ago, but it was released in February after the W-9 1099 management was really necessary. And the new account is coming soon. But in the books closed W-9 1099 management, you can edit the EIN that's there. You can see the address, add attachments. So if they did send you the the W-9, you can upload it to the vendor. You can mark it that the W-9 was received and see the 1099 amounts, right? So it'll run this utility and see what type of 1099s they're eligible for, and then see the eligible amounts, and then clear them off if you need to. The final review and wrap up, the comparison, the nod goes to books review here because there are a few no's for books close. This unusual or unexpected balances options, not an option in books close. But again, most of this is going to be addressed somewhere in the transaction review process, right? But just so that it's not here, but in books review, it does raise those things up to the surface in one place, isolate them so that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. You can add additional reports or this little placard or section inside of books review that's AR or AP that's older than 90 days. It's just not there by default in Books Close. But as far as wrapping up and sending financials, all the same functions exist in either one. All right. We timed that pretty well. Because we can go into, if we did have any questions that popped up, if anybody wants to we can take a gander at some of these things if you wanted to, if you saw anything, Sharon, but asking that question of what's this information useful?
So a lot of clarification points. Dan, as always, you're very thorough and you give so much information. And so I think when people go to chat in, they miss some of it. So I think some of the clarification points were, one, is books review, and again, is books review going away? And the answer to that was no, it's shifting. Some of the features in your side-by-sides, and keep in mind, you guys, the handout link is in there. Some of the features side will still be free. Some of those features are moving to Books Close that you need to pay for. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. The future is always unclear, right?
I mean, as of now, from what they've told us, as of what we know right now.
Yeah, as we know right now, they will continue to be available in both places. I think really the point here is that if you're a smaller solopreneur, small practice firm, Books Review is likely going to be the place that you would do these things anyway, because the advantages of Books Close is really going to come to light when you have a team and you're delegating some of these tasks, right? A solopreneur, a solo practitioner certainly might not need all those or see value in doing these things unless there are specific tasks or specific things that are there that kind of give that nod to Books Close.
And then the other thing that I see a lot of asking is having to do with pricing. So from what I've learned from you is that if we're on beta, you have to opt in to upgrade, right? You have to opt in to upgrade to the Close. You won't just automatically be added into it. And you can choose how many clients go to there. And you pay based on your client, not by how many team members you have working on it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. And it's just a flat fee, and it's onboarded clients, right? So if you have 150 clients on your client list, you're only going to be charged for the clients that are listed as part of the Books Close feature, right? Mm-hmm. So now I was able to add myself multiple times with different periods. So I don't know if that counts as 2 clients or if it's just the clients that are onboarded. Maybe you have multiple. If you're doing 12 months, for example, of Books Closed to get caught up, is that 12 individual costs?
I hope not. You should be able to. Oh, yeah, that's a good question. It shouldn't be. You should be able to catch. I don't know. That's a good question. You didn't find an answer for that?
I didn't, because of course, right now, you can go into subscriptions and billing, and you'll see a section for when it comes up, the Books Closed is 0, right?
Yeah.
Having the option and seeing the payment history is only going to become clearer after May 1st when they start charging for these things. I don't know specifically whether that will be the case or not, but if I go back to my Books Closed, I am listed here. I put in 2 different periods, and I'm listed here twice, right? Does that count as 4 or 3? Because this is the same. Yeah. This is the same client.
That's a good question. I didn't even think of that. Then the other thing I want to remind people, the one thing that Intuit does that I think is a very good business practice is they don't hold you in your full month. They actually prorate you. So if you upgrade one day or you get charged and you're like, oh my God, if you go on downgrade, they give you all that money back. So that is one that a lot of businesses don't do that nowadays. They're like, no, we'll downgrade you next month. And I think that is a good business model. Knock on wood, they don't change it. So if for some reason you forget to downgrade, don't forget, do it right away.
One other thing I want to point out here is that there is no option to remove a client from Books Close yet.
Okay.
So this is a one-way. This is a one-way ticket. I have been promised that this will be figured out by May 1st. But if you're looking for a place to remove someone from the Books Close, that was a small oversight.
Yeah. Once you're here, you don't want to go back. That's a lot of confidence. That's a lot of confidence. No downgrade. Or they're like, you have to call us.
Yeah. Well, no.
And then they check on your car's warranty at the same time.
They spent 2 hours on the phone and they realized, that's an odd option. The first option, of course, was we'll just remove all of your clients. Turn off, you can cancel the Books Close altogether because it is a separate module on the billing and subscription. Your firm subscriptions. You can just cancel the whole thing. But if you have 50 clients and you only want to remove one of them, that's a pain to bring back 49 of them. Yeah.
Especially if you lose anything that you've got saved. I wonder if I always wonder that, like when you cancel things, do they cancel your settings? If I go back in, I have to redo everything. I guess so. Most things do that.
Yep. And the other
do we know the
option,
cost?
Of course, was,
you haven't given us cost yet. Or $6. You told us that, right? You just told us that. And I was $6. I remember the $6.
$8 per month for the first 50 clients onboarded. Books Close. And then after that, first 50, then it goes proactively. It's not the 51st is only $6. Yeah. It's all of them get lowered to that.
Yeah.
And then, so the article here, this is where we go into the workshop that we did as far as the comparison, as well as I actually included an AI argument debating these two features here. So you can listen to these people argue about whether Books Review or Books Close is better.
Yeah.
Okay. So next time, now, since we are going to individual registrations, going into the website, qbpowerhour.com to register for the next one. So we're going to have a niche nuance on this series where it's all going to be talking about the contractor industry. We'll have an industry professional be joining us, and we'll be going through the construction business practices that the construction clients tend to have, and then we'll be pairing and comparing that to Intuit Enterprise Suite and the construction add-on that can be added inside of Advanced, and talking about projects in general with Plus and Advanced and those different versions of QuickBooks Online. Appreciate you joining us today. Sharon, any final thoughts, closing comments?
No,
Fire?
I'm glad that I learned where the review is, because like I said, I'm excited.
Now we know what you'll be doing for the rest of the afternoon.
I know. Yeah. No, and that's before. In fact, I just got notice that I have a conference I have to go to today. I'm bittersweet about all the conferences being in Vegas because it means that they're right there, but it also means that they're right there.
They're right there.
So, yeah.
Excellent. So the 31st, we'll be doing the construction niche nuances, and hopefully you can join us then, and we'll see you next time on the QB Power Hour.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to support our amazing sponsors. You'll find them listed on our homepage at qbpowerhour.com. And if you're getting value from the show, we'd love it if you left us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more accounting pros just like you. Until next time, keep powering up your practice with QB Power Hour.